All right, we are here today with Councilman Andrew McManus. And right off the top, let's get started with one major question, and that is, are you joining us today as a citizen, or is this a conversation from a public official?
Public official.
All right.
Citizen, public official, both. Um, yeah, I would say public official.
Okay, good. Let's
Now,
start off with the first. Yeah,
these
go
are
ahead.
these are my opinions. This is my view on things.
Your view on things as a citizen and also speaking as a public
Yeah.
official. Okay.
Yes.
Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you were the first public official to sound the alarm bells locally here, and I think that happened on our air. Is that right?
We did the interview at Port City, and I was saying it was a fine line. Like I said, it was a fine line to walk. We want to support local business, but we also want to stay in. So I suggested curbside to go, and then as we've seen now, that's mandated. So I'm not here to say I was the first. That's not what's important to me is getting the information out there to people. My phone's nonstop, Facebook messages, texts, voicemails, people thanking me for everything that I share. Um, I feel like it's my duty in this position to speak to the public, to speak to people, and let them know how I feel and what you should and shouldn't be doing. But I think if you go back and look at our interview, we were kind of the first to say, "Hey, um, pay attention."
Understood. Yeah. Um, Tell us about how the stay-at-home policy, before it was a law, um, has affected you and your family. Tell us about that. We were on with Ed Newsom earlier, which is going to be in a different interview, and he talked about that. So we're kind of asking everybody that'll talk to us how it's impacted, your family.
Um, I've not seen them. My mom, they'll bring stuff by. I mean, we're taking this very serious. Like I've said before, my grandfather is 84 years old. He lives with my mom. The last thing I would want would be to, if I had the virus, to give it to her, who in turn gives it to him. And he's got a weaker immune system than I do. I wouldn't know what to do. I would, it would be devastating if I did that. So we're taking it very serious. She brought by a water filter and left it outside. And I waved to her, but we're not even
She
coming
brought
in.
it to you and didn't
She
come in.
brought it. She didn't come in. She left it on my front door. Called me, said, "Hey," and then I opened the door, waved, but we're not. We're keeping with the 6 feet. We're staying away from each other as much as we can. We're just taking it very, very serious. So I've not seen. I've talked to my grandpa on the phone. I've talked to my other grandparents, but we're taking it very serious.
As of midnight tonight, um, breaking this now mandated. They don't want to call it shelter in place in Ohio because they think that's a term for the coastal states that are used to hurricanes, and so they've called it more of a stay at home mandate. But at midnight tonight, um, this is going to turn into a second degree misdemeanor.
Yeah.
So I've got a twofold question. Number one, there are going to be some people that find out that tomorrow their jobs are gone
Hmm.
because they are non-essential businesses. We've talked with different car dealerships and some different businesses that up until now hadn't really been affected, but now we've got a whole new group of people that are deemed non-essential, and they're going to wake up tomorrow morning without a job. As a councilman, what do you say to that citizenry?
First and foremost, that I'm sorry. Um, I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I'm not in that situation. But first is that I'm sorry, and then I feel for you. I can't. I don't have children. I couldn't imagine if I'm at home and trying to figure out how to watch my kids or who to watch my kids or how to feed my kids. Just that I'm sorry and that I'm here. Um, Anything I can do, I'm here to do it. There's no, I'm sorry doesn't fix anything. I'm sorry doesn't put food on their table or give them a paycheck, but I can empathize and feel for these situations. Um, I've said this is life-changing stuff. It is. It's scary. We keep hearing people say, well, there's none inside the county. That's fine. This still affects other areas. It affects livelihoods. It affects childcare. Um, so we really need to band together. We really need to band together and believe in each other and help one another. This is a trying time.
Now, I know you're not a public health official, but I do want to get your opinion on one
Sure.
item. The best case scenario for right now for getting test results is 3 to 5 days if the test goes directly to the Ohio Department of Health.
Mhm.
There are 6 other private labs that have contracted to do these diagnoses. And those waiting periods can be 2 weeks or more for a result because of their backlog.
Sure.
So I said all that to bring to light that when the likelihood that there's going to be a diagnosed case in our county is quite high. In fact, let's just go ahead and say it's going to happen.
Mhm.
What, when that does take place, and we already know that there's a shortage of tests, and we know that B, there's a backlog of testings, a minimum of 3 to 5 days, but more likely several weeks, that once that first test is positive, we're going to end up with kind of a spike. In other
Mhm.
words, once it starts, it's going to pop. It's going to pop. As a member of local government, what are you seeing with your inner workings that maybe the public's not seeing? How are local officials preparing for what we pretty much deem to be the inevitable, that there's going to be a case, and that case is going to probably turn into several very quickly once that first one is officially diagnosed? What's the plan?
I mean, I give credit to the commissioners, to the council. We're all, we have a city email. I've noticed just recently we're all on it a lot more actively than usual. So everyone's staying as up to date as they can be. Um, I applaud everyone for doing that. In constant contact with the health department, emails letting us know the results of testing. Um, just making sure we're informed. And like I've said before, what I can do is speak up and let people know for the 100th time, this is a real thing. And I don't want to say it's going to happen, but it's not. More than likely, we'll have a case here in Scioto County. We may already. We need to prepare. If you feel ill, you have the symptoms, use your head. These time, like you said, the testing takes time to come back. The last thing I would want is if I felt ill, getting a test and then going out about my day. That's what this mandate's about. There's still going to be numbers. There's still going to be cases. This is again another way to try to flatten that curve. This is to where you can still go out and get groceries. You can get your takeout. You can go support local business. It's to, limit the masses of people. Um, Try to lower it to where, like we've said many times, to flatten the curve. So I think staying informed as much as we can, and I believe there's a very good network of professionals out there to fight this as it comes. We, like you said, we're going to see a surge. We're going to see a spike. And at that point, this virus is spread. That's why we're mandated at midnight tonight to essential personnel. That's why, because people say it's a hoax still. It's not. It's not. Just look at it from a business standpoint. Think about every sports, NBA, MLB, NFL even pushing stuff back. Those are billionaires. I joke and say those are the real powerful people. They're rich. They're losing millions and millions and millions of dollars. They wouldn't do this for a hoax. I
Right.
mean, it hurts, it hurts their pockets. This is, this shows me it's real. When they canceled March Madness, I'm like, okay, this is not a hoax. This is the real deal. So that's just look at the businesses from a business standpoint. Look at airlines. Would these companies be losing so much money if this wasn't real? Why? What would they gain from that? Nothing.
Right. That's a good way. That's a good way to look at it. As a business person, what would you gain from this being a hoax? And you
Nothing.
literally, there's no, there's not an upside. Um, and I'm glad that you brought that up because that transitions me into the next question, and that has to do with finances. And during those governors' conferences and with the federal level, there are monies that they keep promising that they're sending out to
Mm.
relief efforts on the state, the county, the local levels. But without having meetings, you can't appropriate, you can't even cash a check
Right.
without having a legislative meeting. So these monies that they keep saying, hey, they're coming, we're sending aid, we're doing this, we're doing that. If the legislative body in those municipalities can't meet, they can't appropriate any funds. Talk to us about that.
Well, I mean, I learned that last week because I suggested we do virtual meetings. By law, we are unable to. In the writing, it says telecommunications. It doesn't count essentially. That to me is archaic. I mean, I don't. I mean, I saw a video and it was like 30 people on a choir all singing together. We're doing a video conference right now.
Yeah, I
Locally, we
believe
cannot
it counts. If we say something wrong, it'll count.
right. Locally, we cannot change this. This
Right,
is higher up, more of a state or federal level.
right,
Um, I'm doing my best to ask why, because I mean, God forbid get a lockdown, we get quarantined. We can't just stop. The government just can't just stop. What do we do for worst case scenario? We need to have plans in place so that way we're not canceling council meetings. I was shocked to learn that we're unable to do a video conference like this because it makes no sense to me. We could each do like we're doing right here. It's all
yeah.
recorded. It's all it'll go out to the public. You can watch it live. Um, I don't know. So I would really hope that someone would think about this and realize we need to have a plan B. I see the severity of this. I have friends in food service that are displaced. I mean, two good friends, my former bosses, own a restaurant. I have my best friend helps run a daycare. Like these are people that are affected, you know, on
Yes.
different levels. I see this. I see people, applying for unemployment. I see this, and I hate we're at this point, but we're talking about people's lives. We're talking about my grandparents, your grandparents, children. This we don't know. I would rather, at the end of the day, people might be mad at me for speaking out. Good, because I'm speaking out because I want. If I can help one person, that's worth it to me. That's all. That's all that matters is making sure people have the knowledge and take this serious so they don't get sick.
There is in the darkness, there is that little light that people have to understand and help and correct me if I'm wrong or endorse me if I'm right. But once we get through this, there are some really good days ahead,
Absolutely.
um, both economically and how government can be more efficient and more effective in people's everyday lives. am I too optimistic, or is this a reasonable assumption?
Reasonable. Yeah. I mean, you're seeing every day how strong people are, and us as Americans together, months from now, when this is all, like I said, quote unquote, back to normal, we're going to see how strong we are and how unified we are. This pandemic doesn't care if you're rich or you're poor, or anything about you. It can affect anyone. So this really unifies us to come together. I mean, I've seen so much success and, you know, really pride when it comes to doing local deliveries and seeing these restaurants, seeing people share the restaurants' menus, and seeing people kind of band together and help each other out. So at the end of the day, we're going to really see how strong we all are. And
And
that's
investing in those, I'm sorry, and investing in those gift certificates.
yeah.
Main Street Portsmouth is really pushing the gift certificate program.
The thing with the gift cards are that's income for the restaurant they can use currently. Those gift cards aren't going to go bad. So when the restaurants do open back up for a sit down, you can use your gift card then. You can use your gift cards for takeout, for delivery. That's a great idea. I applaud Main Street for working hard with that. Joseph Pratt, they're great people over there. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see so many people band together in a time of need. We're lucky. People say it all the time, and I've said it too. Portsmouth's special. We look around and you see, I mean, take 5 minutes. There's a lot of strong people and a lot of great people in our area, and times like these really show it.
I agree. I think that it gives the opportunity for the talent that's in place. And you mentioned Joseph, I mean, we could sit here and do a whole episode just on people standing up and helping facilitate the the town and the economy to try to get through this, because we talk about that Q4, quarter four has the prospects of being fantastic, but we can't lose half of our businesses between now and then.
Right. Right. We have to, you know, kind of crawl along together, pick each other up, get through this. I don't know how long it'll be. I would imagine it'll be longer than what we think, just because, erring on the side of caution. I'd imagine what they say, April 6th, as far as the mandate. I believe it'll be longer.
I think, and this is completely editorial on my end, but I believe what we're doing, although we're doing it in the face of a pandemic, we are carving out how government and society will be moving forward in the next decade, generation. I think that
Yeah,
some of these snares, like we're talking about with the everything from social distancing to can we have a government meeting through video conference, and some of these items that weren't ever an issue before, once they get solved, we're going to see a lot of these things that get implemented because we have to will actually probably stay
sure. I
as
mean,
a matter of efficiency. Do you agree with that?
absolutely, absolutely. The good thing about this, and there's few, are we're learning about new ways to do things and more efficient ways to do things. Um, so I hope with everything I have that nothing like this ever happens again. But if it does, we'll be better equipped to handle it.
Thank you very much, sir, and we appreciate your time and give our best to your family
Thank you. You too.
virtually.
Virtually.